Greetings, family, greetings, and welcome to the Art of Rising. You know that we're all about giving you the codes in order for you to rise your vibration, rise your life, rise all these things. We're always on the lookout for great people. And I just happened to come across another great brother, and he has a fascinating bio, and his journey is continuing, but he made some changes along the way, and just super powerful and incredibly inspiring. So I'll just bring him on. Thank you, Richard Lowe, to the show.
How you doing? Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
amazing. Thank you for coming through. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you live and what are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, I'm currently in Clearwater, Florida. I've been here for 11 years. Moved here. Well, we'll get into why I moved here. And these days, I'm a ghostwriter and a writer. That's what I primarily do, and it's a lot of fun and very fulfilling to help people get their message out.
Right. So, a ghostwriter, when I had first, as a young man, when I heard a ghostwriter, I thought it was ghosts, they writing your books, right?
Yeah, I go out and capture ghosts in the lake behind me, and I write on them.
Of course, they need help. All right, right. So tell us about, first of all, you were working somewhere for an establishment, right? And then you just woke up one day and said, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to do this no more." Or was it a series of events?
Well, as all things, it was usually a series of events. I was in the tech field for 33 years. First as vice president of one company, then vice president of another, and then I was the director of computer operations at Trader Joe's for 20 years, and it was a good job. It worked out pretty well. Made a lot of money. Was fulfilled. But I got tired of working for other people. The problem with working for other people is, well, you're working for somebody else, and you have to do what they tell you. And I one day decided I was done with that, and had a big old retirement party, even though I was fairly young at the time. Um, Took all my money and my time and moved to Florida. Said goodbye to all of my dancer friends. I was a photographer, also had a bazillion dancer friends. That's another story we can get into maybe later. And went clear across the country with one of my best dancer friends, and moved to Florida.
Mhm. Beautiful. Wow, that's incredible. That is just, I'm currently sitting on that stove myself, right? I'm 56, I'll be 57. And just recently, there has been some things that have come to the surface. And when I was in this place making all this really good money, and the place where people would want to be, like, most likely, like they'd be like, "Hey, I would do anything for that." And then when you're there, like, things start happening, and then they start feeding you these sandwiches,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't taste so good, and you're like, "Yeah, eat another one," and you're supposed to eat it, and it tastes so good, thank you. After a while, you're like, you know what, they don't taste good, and I'm not going to eat them anymore. So it looks like you did some of that.
I did. It was a slow build up. I was there for 20 years, and there was just a final straw, which I won't get into, that broke the camel's back, and decided, I'm done with that. I'm done with that game, that journey, that part of my life. Closed that chapter and moved on to a new chapter. And it was tough at first. Being a writer is not an easy career, and I chose writing. And um, one thing I quickly found, because I started by trying to find a real job, and the problem with real jobs is you run into ageism, and I ran straight into that wall, and it became obvious that, okay, getting a real job was not something that was in the cards, and not something I particularly wanted anyway. Maybe that made it even harder, but there were always these, going to interviews and things, there were always these invisible reasons why they couldn't hire me. I'm sure you've run into that. People have all run into from all different kinds of discriminatory reasons. Ageism is very invisible. It's hard to prove. It's hard to pinpoint, and you just know that it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, usually when you're a certain age, people, they don't like to work with you because you don't like to work with people so easily. You already have these set things, and then they have like, "Hey, we just want people to jump through fire hoops, and hop on one leg and bark like a dog." not to be asking or creating anything around here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was looking for a CIO position, and um, not having a master's degree or a bachelor's degree really got in the way also. Not that I needed, I mean, my boss had at Trader Joe's had a music degree. I mean, what's that got to do with computers, you know? But because he had a degree that made him somehow better than anybody else. And I got tired of that kind of attitude, that just having a piece of paper that he got 30 years ago that had no applicability at all
Right.
made him better.
Yep, that happens. That happens. But here we are. You moved on. So tell me about the writing. Like, were you writing all the time on napkins, on paper, on the wall, or or any chance you got?
Well, when I was 17 years old, I noticed my grandfather finally. He'd always been around, but he was very, very introverted, a little bit curmudgeon-y. If that means grumpy. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go talk to him. The family said, no, don't talk to him. You cut your head off, maybe literally. And so I talked to him, and what I found out was that he was a hero. He was in the Yangtze River Patrol before World War II on a little boat, patrolling the Yangtze River in China, and then he then was on Corregidor, where he was captured by the Japanese. He was in the Bataan Death March, which were 10,000 Americans and Filipinos were marched across the Bataan Peninsula. Half of them died. And then he was in a POW camp for 4 years. And I wrote a book, it's since been lost, for him, that was my first real attempt at writing. And he liked it, and I got to know who my grandfather was, and I got to understand his background. And one thing that was clear to me is he can be as grumpy as he wants. I mean, I hadn't been through a prisoner of war camp. I didn't go through all that stuff. I have well, at the time, I had no excuse. I was 17. I had no excuse for being grumpy. He could be as grumpy as he wanted. He could scream, whatever. He had a license for me. Not that he needed one. And we never became friends or anything, but it was an experience. And then after that, I kind of wrote little columns and things for little news articles and stuff here and there. And then I wrote technical manuals, because nobody likes to write in technical companies. Nobody wants to get near it. So even though I was a VP, I was vice president, I was writing articles. And then finally it was time to turn it into a career, because I didn't before, because I had to make a living. I had a family. I had all kinds of stuff. I don't have any of that. I don't have a family now. So it's just I just need to make a living, and it's very fulfilling. And I decided I like doing it.
That is an incredible journey. I currently, I'm not writing any letters to anyone, although I have a list of people to write. But usually when I write a letter, it's usually like 15 or 20 pages. Like, I just really get into it. I have so much to say, and then I have these books inside of me too. Like one in particular that is just, I feel the fire like right on my backside. Like, let's go, And they say that when the universe, God, or whatever you want to call it, gives you some of these things, if you don't take advantage of it, they just give it to somebody else. That's it. So if it's for you, you should do it.
Indeed. I'd done a lot of things while I was in the tech industry, and as the director of computer operations for Trader Joe's. I was married for 12 and a half years to a Guatemalan lady. And then she got sick, and I had to take care of her, and then she passed away. And I didn't like grief. And I also realized that I was super, super introverted, and that made it worse. So I decided I was going to fix that. And what I did is I picked up the camera and started taking pictures of first net wildlife. So I took pictures of all of the national parks and state parks in Southwest United States, literally all of them. And then I started taking pictures of Renaissance fairs. And in Renaissance fairs, I photographed. I must have taken thousands of pictures during that first year after she passed away, tens of thousands. Put them on the internet. And one day I'm sitting there photographing a belly dance show, with the Moroccan, the full head to toe dress, and all the bangles and whatever they call them, doodads and things. And I've been doing that for the whole show, the whole season. There was 7 weekends. And I was in this front row back. I was in the back row with a telephoto lens. And the lady, I was very, very, very conservative in my outlook at the time. I mean, just conservative as heck. Not the modern definition of conservative. Conservative is in, the dress and the way I looked and the way and this one of the dancers approaches me. Now she was the lead. Her name was Marjani. She had piercings everywhere in her heads and stuff. She had tattoos, and she had this tattoo on her arm, which I later found out she did herself. And and scared the heck out. She laughs at the story now. It scared the heck out of me. I was scared. I literally thought I don't know what I thought. Maybe I was going to die. I don't know. This lady, so she approaches me. She puts her arm around me. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? And she says, Richard, we really love your pictures, and we love you, and we really like you, and we want you to sit in the front row center from now on. One thing I want to tell you is we like the photographers who sit up close, and not the ones who sit back with a telephoto lens. That kind of weirds us out. So come up front. You're now an honored guest. You're part of the tribe, is what she called it. You're one of us now. I'm like, okay. They even made me belly dance once. Fortunately, I got all the videos that destroyed them. No. This was before cell phones were really, everybody had one. And before I knew it, I was out there photographing dancers all over Southern California. They did 1,200 photo shoots in all the Southwest United States with all the Renaissance there. Was like 300 of them, 400 of them. 1,200 dance shows, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photo shoots. And at one point I said, you know what? I don't need the camera to talk to people anymore. And the shyness was gone. As you can tell, I'm not shy anymore.
Right.
Still introverted.
Right. Well, the shirt that you chose today says quite a bit of your character right there.
This really sums it up. I'm kind of bright, I'm happy, not intimidating. That's what I wanted as a brand, and I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing. But anyway, the dancers, we did a lot. Every year they threw a party for me, and I had 100 to 200 dancers, models, reenactors, all performing for me alone. Once a year at my birthday, and that was quite a thing. Got videos of all of them.
Right.
And it was an interesting time for a super shy person.
Wow. Incredible how the universe or whatever puts us in these things, and we just don't know. It's beautiful. That's why I feel that we should never get to the point like we just want to check out, no, why? You don't know. It's like, stay in it. We're here, like this journey. It's beautiful. Like things change. Like you don't know. Yes, it looks boring and it feels monotonous, but you don't know what's waiting around the corner.
It's true. And then came the big shock was deciding to leave. And once I got to Florida, I went out. One of my dancer friends, she's an Indian, I'm probably butchering this pronunciation, Barthenthanum dancer. There's a very, very, very traditional classical Indian dance with the bells on their legs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Very, very good. She was trained by a classical master. That's what she called him. And she still is extremely good. And she didn't want me to drive alone, so she came out with me. And for 3 days, we drove to Florida, and she helped me put everything back, and then she flew home. And then on Thanksgiving of that year, she came out to show me what vegan Thanksgiving is. I wasn't thrilled with it, but because I'm more not a vegan, but it was okay. And then she flew home she did a show in Jamaica. She flew home via Tampa, so it wasn't like she flew out just for me, and stayed a couple days and then flew home. So that was interesting. And I was thinking as she flew home, boy, this shy kid sure has become unshy. And
right.
Then I picked up my computer and started writing books. And there's a whole journey there.
Right. That's wonderful. I've always been impressed by people who write books. As a kid, I looked at books and I was like, wow, these are a lot of words. Like, who wrote all these things, man? Like just the time that it must have taken. So yes, kudos to you. But now you tell me that you got into the writing part of it, and you've ghostwritten many books. How many books have you ghostwritten?
Well, I've ghostwritten over 50, and I've written probably well over 100, 120 maybe, that I've published. Of course, like most writers, I've started a lot of books, probably started 5 times that many and discarded them on the way.
Wow.
But those are the ones that I've actually got that are actually published somewhere. The ones that are ghostwritten, my name's not on them, and you would never know that I wrote most of them, or helped them write it, whatever it was. Sometimes they're coaching where I more help them write their own. Sometimes they're ghostwriting where they say, here's a subject, go write about it, and give me it when you're done.
Right. That's incredible. Yes. Yeah, so I see that on Amazon, one of the main books that you have, because there's, like you said, you have like over 100 books, but one of them there is Make a Living as a Professional Self-Published Author.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that goes through the steps, not how to write, but how to take your writing skills and actually make money from it as a self-published author. So how to go through, how to make a brand, how to promote yourself, what all the things you need to do, how to put a book together. Should you get an audiobook? Does that help your brand? Stuff, all the different things that go around a book and help you use it. Because a book isn't much, unless it's kind of a vanity project, it isn't much value if you can't use it. If you don't use it. So how do you put it to use? How do you make money from it? Even a little bit of money. Most authors run into that problem where they run into what I call the wall of marketing. They're not marketers. They don't even consider it. They just want to write a book. They hit that wall, right? Okay, how do I make this more than my mother, my father, and my best friend, and I bought 6 more myself. Well, they have to promote it, and they have to learn how to make a cover and all this kind of stuff. So it talks about all that stuff.
Interesting. We're in the process, as you could imagine, promoting ourselves too, and we have the brand. We are the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. We're located in North Bergen, New Jersey, and the name comes from, my name is Omar and my wife's name is Aziel. So we are the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. Why Healing Sanctuary? Because we do many things to help people on different levels. One of our staples is breath work with an ice plunge, which I just want to take a moment to say that we are having an event that's coming up on March 26th, I believe it is, and it's 29th, March 29th. It's a Saturday, and I coach people. I put them through the ringer of all this heavy breathing, with some air retention, and then we go outside to a big tub with a lot of water and a lot of ice, and it pushes them into the present moment. But what we also notice is that event right there seeps into other parts of people's lives too, like if they want to write a book or something like that. So it pushes them, like, oh man, now I see things a lot more clearer. That was very tough what I did, that event, and now this, to write a book, it's not as tough as I thought it was. Hold on, let me start doing this. So if people stay to the end of the podcast, we want to help them out so they can attend that very special event that we're having. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about branding, right? How is it that someone, because I have my brand and I want to tell the world, like, hey, this is a beautiful thing. Like, this is sliced bread. You never had it before. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, one thing to understand is branding is a constant process. You don't just write a book or create a bunch of podcasts and then you're done. You have to do it every day or every weekday or whatever your schedule is, because people don't remember you. There are new people that come in. LinkedIn's algorithm doesn't let people see things all the time, so it's a regular daily thing. So I've tried everything to brand myself, and one of the things is you want to be consistent. So I have my consistent brand. My shirt, which shows a bright, cheery, happy guy who knows what he's doing, who can write about anything. So it's not like a stuffy conservative guy. I wanted something that was a little more cheery. And then I got my colors, and I got my website, which I bring in a lot of business to my website, even though I'm always frustrated because it doesn't get a lot of hits. It doesn't matter how many hits you got. That's more of a vanity thing. What matters is how many customers did you get from it. And I get a few, enough to justify it. So you got a website, you got LinkedIn, you got your social media. And what I recommend to my authors is choose the one that the social media that you really like. If you like TikTok, that's obviously your channel. And for a lot of younger people, that's going to be their channel. I tend to use LinkedIn because I'm a business person, and that's where I've been for a long time. And I would work for a LinkedIn marketing company for 2 years, did about 350 profiles. It's one of the first things I did when I got to Florida. And that was kind of natural for me. So make sure I've got a little Facebook presence, I've got a little presence in other places. If you like video, maybe YouTube. If you like a little bit longer term video, choose your poison, so to speak, and that's what you do. But marketing is constantly changing. So you may be doing podcasts today and you may find out nobody's interested in podcasts anymore. Change fast and move on to the next thing. Because the TikToks may be, they may ban TikTok for I know. So maybe you need to change. If you're on TikTok now and you're making a living on TikTok, you better be thinking about a way to make a living some way else, because there's a congressional thing that 90 days from when Trump said it was okay, it stops again. So be a little distributed, don't depend on one platform, and make that brand consistent and make it be you, something you can do every day. So if you're not a person who likes to wear suits, can you do that every day? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should do something, like you and me both, we're a little more casual. There's one brand of a person I know, Ben the Automator. He's a very bright brand, green hair, and that's his brand. And his pictures are like that. And it shows him all cheerful and stuff, and arms spread out and he automates things for people. And his brand is very consistent, and it's based on LinkedIn and attending networking groups. And find what works for you and go whole hog in it and be ready to change. So start looking at other things. Is it. Very important. And a book, sorry, I was going to add to that.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
A book is good for all brands. Every single way you do a brand, a book raises you up. If you're a coach, for example, there's lots of coaches now. And it's getting more every day because as people are getting laid off, book coaching seems to be an obvious way to make money. And it is. But how do you get, if there's 50 bazillion executive coaches, how do people find you? You write a book. How do they know you're good? You write a book and you put it out there. It doesn't have to be a long book. It could be just 75 pages, 100 pages, 200 pages, whatever you think is appropriate. And it describes your stories, your background, your reason for being, your motivation, and most of all, it tells what people are going to get from you. What do they get? That's important. I do a little different than most ghostwriters and most writers in that I'm looking for the emotions and the feelings that you have, and I put those into words. I'm looking for your stories and your emotions, and I have a technique where I just pull those emotions out of you and put them on the piece of paper. And work collaboratively with you rather than saying, okay, I want to write a book about XYZ, go off and write it. I prefer to write collaboratively where we're working together so that by the time your book is done, you've got a book that you actually like. And we don't have that, okay, we need to revise it now 45 times to look what you like, because that's murder.
Right. Well, you mentioned that you have a website too. I mean, will we find some of this information there?
It's called thewritingking.com. And there's a second one called ghostwriting.guru. My marketing company maintains that one. And they have a lot of this information is scattered all over. It's a big website. All my podcasts are there and stuff. And you could go there and you could find out more about me, my pictures, my style. And that's I'm the writing king and ghostwriting guru.
Okay. All right. That I can see that consistency is key. I know that, like we're sometimes I'm throwing things against the wall and like, there's nothing happening, but then I start looking a little closer and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really consistent. You have to be consistent. Like if you're out there, let's keep going. And then, there's a gazillion people trying to do what I'm doing. So how do I stand out too? And with the research, I have found that like Seth Godin, right? He seems to be like one of the marketing, kings, gurus or something like that. And he mentioned what you spoke about earlier, that, you don't need, 50 billion hits on your website and like gazillion people like following you. There's people who make a wonderful, quite comfortable living just with like maybe a few thousand people following them.
The only time followers count is if you're actually making money from the follower count. So a
Mm,
lot of these so-called influencers, and I hate the name because they're not influencers, they're just famous people.
right.
They make money off the number of followers. So at that point it counts. For people like you and me, followers means nothing, and that's a vanity metric. Um, the important thing is conversions. Now, I have ghostwriters or anybody who markets can have a problem with conversions. The first key is, are you getting the right leads? So if you say have a coaching business and you want to get professionals into you, what kind of professionals? You need to narrow that down to exactly who your target audience is. So if your target audience is women over 45 who have kids, who want to start their own job and get away from the main job, that's your target audience. And you want to probably even drill down a little bit more. That's who you're targeting to. That makes your brand pretty obvious. How are you going to market to them? You're going to do all the stuff that would appeal to them. If you don't have that target audience, it's really hard to market to them because you're marketing to everybody, and that never, ever, ever works. Unless you're Coca-Cola and you're willing to throw away billions of dollars. So have that target audience, and that's the people you need to get in here. You need to get that target in. Who is your audience? Good. Now promote to them. Those would be qualified leads. And you don't want to spend time on what is called one-on-ones where you're talking to somebody with people who aren't qualified. You don't want to promote in areas where people aren't qualified. You're wasting your time and your money. You've only got limited time and limited money. Those are your two resources. Time is the big one. Money is the second one, because you can use money to buy time because you can hire other people. I have a marketing company, which is new for me because, of course, I can do it all myself because I'm great. Then I realized that's dumb. Hire a marketing company. So now they're doing a lot of the work, and it's like, whew. And they know who to target, and they're targeting, cybersecurity professionals and other tech people. And I'm starting to get much more qualified leads. That's important. And then the question is, how do you convert those leads? And that has to do with your conversation with them. So you're conversing with these people. Part of the conversion is you have to get them in, and your book has to be targeted to them as well. So if you are looking for women who are single moms over 45 who are trying to make a new career, then your book should definitely be targeted at those people. Not everybody in the world, probably not men, unless some men happen to fit into that. Probably not, factory workers. You're looking for a specific target, right? That's one thing I'll do as your ghostwriter is I'll write around that target. Who are those people? And then we'll spend a lot of time trying to figure out who they are and what they want. Converting them means being able to understand what they want and tell them what they get out of it, what's in it for them. A friend of mine, Royce Blake, he's always telling me, you have to get down to what's in it for them. He's a great copywriter. I'm going to give him a little plug here.
Of course.
If you want copywriting, go to Royce Blake. He is the best. And he told me you start with what's in it for them. What do they get? You're not talking about like in your LinkedIn profile. Most LinkedIn profiles are screwed up because they talk about the person. Nobody cares. Talk about what they get from talking to you. What did they get from you? If you're a resume service, they get a resume. If in your case, they get whatever you provide. They get plunged into ice or something, whatever it is. And that gives them what? That gives them health, I guess, or whatever you give them is what that's what's in it for them. So the process is the ice plunge. I think I heard you say that.
Yes.
That's the process. That's not what's in it for them. What you're marketing is what they get from that.
Exactly.
So what do they get? Health, whatever they get, that's what converts them. So if you focus on the process, then maybe I'll think about it tomorrow. If you focus on what's in it for them, you mean I'm going to be healthier in a week or whatever it is. And okay, let's go do this. That's the key. And he keeps drumming that into me every time he looks at some ad. I throw it at him and say, "Can you look at this?" He says, "You missed the what's in it for them, stupid."
Right. Okay.
pretty nice. He's nice, but he's blunt. You know.
That's good. We need that. I mean, I have a very few, and I usually stick with those guys because they just tell me, straight out. Like I have one great brother. Oh man, he's so cerebral. And once I bring him something, hey, look at this thing. He's like, why are you doing it? What are you doing? What's the purpose here? What do you? And I'm like, oh man, yeah. He gives me those type of things, like.
So for a book, what's in it for them is what I've been talking about. It's that they are now able to increase their brand, and they get from that, by using their book, they can get speaking engagements that actually pay money. They can get a TED Talk. They can increase the engagement from the people they're selling to, and thus make more money. They can be in libraries, which then they might make money from. Whatever their goal is, this book will help. It raises them above other coaches, so they get more of the people they want, and they get engaged better, and then they convert better because they're more targeted. This is what a book buys you, and what you focus on is, what do you give them? And that's what I do in the conversations that I have. So first part is make it so that you're funneling the right people to you, and don't waste time on the ones who aren't right, unless they're fascinating or something. And then from those, convert those that you want, that meet your goals, by stressing what's in it for them. It's actually very simple when you say it, but it's really hard because we're not used to it. Most marketing, most of the copyright, not copyright, a lot of the people who sell stuff out there talk about what they do. The process. I do this and this and this. It's AI. AI does all this for you. That's the process. That's not what's in it for them. Process is, okay, you get to use AI. Well, I don't care. I don't care. I want to know what's in it for me.
Right.
Am I gonna make more money? Am I gonna get more leads? Am I gonna have
sell more widgets?
Sell more widgets? Am I gonna have a bunch of cashews delivered to me? I mean, what's in it for me?
Right.
Why am I talking to you?
So tell us about the writing process. What would you say about that? Because now they're saying, hey, AI. I wrote a book with AI, and like it's not as simple as that, and it's kind of dry too.
If you want a book that is passionless, that is obviously not written by a human being, that has all the information but no emotion, use AI by all means. And if you don't want to spend any money, use AI by all means. You'll get exactly what I just said. You'll get a passionless book that reads like AI and does nothing for you. No, by now, everybody knows AI, and there's a little thing. It's a robotics term that I'm going to use that I'm applying to writing. So robotics people, please forgive me for using this term, but it's called the uncanny valley. And the uncanny valley is when you look at a robot and you think, and it's supposed to be human-like, and you look at it and go, there's something off about that, but you don't know what. It looks pretty human to me. You could apply it to, say, CGI in movies. You're looking through this movie, say The Lion King. It's pretty classic, and it's got all this really realistic, the new Lion King. It's got all this really realistic animation by CGI, but something's wrong with it. You know what's wrong with it? The shadows don't match the sun, for example, or the hair doesn't move the way the wind moves, or something like that. You don't necessarily see it consciously, but your unconscious mind goes, that's just wrong. And writing's the same way. I can look at an AI thing, and probably within 2 or 3 seconds, I'll tell you that's AI. In fact, I had somebody send me a book. He says, I want you to review it. And I looked at it. We were online together. And I looked at it and I said, well, that's AI. He said, how'd you know? I said, it's Uncanny Valley. And then I had to explain what it was. He thanked me and he fixed it. So it was good. He did a solid edit on it and basically took out a lot of the AI and made it much better. So you don't want to use AI. What you want to do is either write it yourself or use a ghostwriter. You can use your AI as a digital assistant. And what I do is I say, okay, I got this chapter, I put it through the AI and say, okay, does this work? Does this say what I want it to say? What's the message you get out of this? Is it consistent? Is there duplication? Use it for that kind of thing. If I'm writing fiction, are the characters, do they flow right? Do they get out of character? You use it as like a side check, as a digital assistant. And that's the way you use AI. Don't do work for you. Make your work better. Now, to get back to the writing process, which is your original
Yes,
question,
yes, yes, yes.
my process is we do a pile of interviews up front where I'm going to learn about you. I'm going to learn who you are, who your market is, what they want, why they want it, who you are, what you want, why you want it. We're going to match them up
Mm,
so that they match. Then I'm going to worry about emotions. What emotion do you want in this book? Do you want, I mean, if it's a political book, maybe you want people to be afraid when they're done with the book. If it's a science fiction novel, maybe you want them to feel, maybe a science fiction horror novel, you want them to feel terror through the book. Um,
mm,
if it's a coaching model a book, you want them to be um,
mm,
you want them to be hopeful, that there's hope for them now, maybe.
mm.
And that's
That's
what a
me.
book,
That's me. I think I fit in there. Go ahead.
and that's what we want the book to deliver. And I'm going to find that out in that first set of
Mm,
interviews. It's probably going on for several weeks, depending on the size of the book. Then we're going to start writing, and it's collaborative. I'll write an outline, send it to you. You say, yeah, it looks good, or no, it doesn't. And then I'll write a little more. And by the time we're done with that month, we'll have written my quota, which is generally 8,000 to 10,000 words per month per book that I'm working on.
mm, mm,
That's 500 words a day per book, 5 days a week. Um, so we're going at, it doesn't seem like a good clip, but it's going at a pretty good clip. And your book gets done pretty fast in a few months.
mm.
And then we do a revision on the whole thing, one revision, because sometimes things change. And then it goes off to the editor to be edited, and then we go through the publishing process, traditional or self-published.
Mm.
And that's in a nutshell the process.
That's interesting. That 500 words a day. I mean, yeah, I think about myself. I could probably bang that out maybe like for a couple of days. Then after that, I'm like,
Well, that's the key to why I survive, why I'm able to do this, why I'm able to write multiple books at one time, including a couple of my own, is you have to not procrastinate. Because man, those times where I've procrastinated, oh my Lord, I'm behind now by a week. It's like, oh, look, I gotta shovel out 5,000 words in one day per book that I'm working on. It's like, oh my God, I got a long day ahead of me.
right, right.
No procrastinate.
Yeah, there's so many shiny objects around. They keep shoving these things in front of us. They make these social medias and things of that nature. They make it like heroin. They made it like that purposely. So you just like, here I am. I'm on the social media and building my brand and getting people to see what we're doing. But then now I'm starting to see old boxing clips and MMA fighting. I'm like, what are we doing? That was like 20 minutes. Like, those are old clips. What am I?
In fact, if you want to see how to write, if you want to see this in action, watch a race. Those sprinters, those runners who race the marathon, they don't run at a full clip the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
They go at a nice even pace until the end, and then maybe they go at a sprint. That's wrestling's the same kind. I mean, they're all the sports. You kind of go at a nice pace that you can maintain until the end, and then you speed it up.
Right. Okay.
Writing works the same way.
So then here I am. I've written my book. I put it together. I like the way it looks, and I've gotten someone like you or you exactly saying, "Hey, yeah, okay, looks good to go." So now, how do I get it out there? Like, who? Because there's all these publishing houses and things of that nature, and I hear people say, "Oh, I self-published" and stuff like that. So,
well, all of them have one common denominator, and that is marketing. Now, when you write a book for a traditional publisher, like say Wiley or one of the other ones, you have to market to the agent who then markets to the publisher. So you're selling to the agent who then says, okay, this is a good idea. I can go sell it to a publisher. That can take a year or two. And generally you don't write the whole book. You write the first few chapters when you do that, and then you start to try and sell it. For self-publishing, you publish the book, and there's a whole bunch of steps. There's the editor, the cover artist, all kinds of things. And then you're marketing to the people who are going to read it. You're marketing directly. With traditional publishing, believe it or not, you're also doing that, but it's after the publisher has published it. Once the publisher has published it, self or traditional, you're marketing the book. They'll do a little bit, but you're still marketing the book. They're going to put you on all kinds of stuff to market that book. They need to make back their money. They gave you in advance, a little one probably. they spend money with a publisher will pay for the editor, the typesetter, all the various things, the artists and stuff like that. Whereas if you self-publish, it's on you. So so you publish the book. Now I have a package. I have a writing package and a publishing package. So if you have a book that you want to publish, come to me. I can help you publish the book as well. They've already written the book, and there are a lot of steps to do it right. I mean, you want an audiobook, you want a paperback, hardcover, spiral bound. What's the cover going to look like? What's important on the cover, etc. How do you market it? What is an ISBN? How do you do that? How do you copyright it? There's all these steps, and if you do one wrong, like if you publish it but you put the wrong title in, you cannot change it on a paperback. You just met, on a paper. You can go out there and scribble on everybody's paperback and change their name. No, you're not going to do that. So you have to make sure that you do it right. My publishing package does that. I do that. I manage it for you and do all of those steps. You'll still pay for the editor and stuff like that, but I make sure that everybody's engaged. I manage them, make sure they're on time, etc.
Right. The writingking.com is your website that I noticed.
Correct.
And then you said you had another one as well, correct?
Ghostwriting.guru.
Ghostwriting. That's a good name.
Yep.
Both of the names are really, really good, by the way.
Thank you. I came up with the Writing King. My marketing company came up with ghostwriting.guru. So now I'm the Writing King, ghostwriting guru.
Right. It makes me think of Seth as well, about like the purple cow and things of that nature. You should be different and stand out in that way.
Exactly.
Everybody's doing their thing. You want to be the purple cow. There's a bunch of cows out here, right? You want to be that. That's good. So, wow, that's amazing. So here you are. You have your book, and there's all these steps and everything like that. Wow, yeah,
a lot of steps.
Yeah, but now there are some books that do like enormously well, and then there's some that you've never even heard of, but they do well too.
In most cases, it's the marketing. Actually, in all cases, it's the marketing. In a book like Twilight, the marketing was through fan groups. So she did a whole bunch of stuff through fan groups and published, and it just took off. And then the publishers noticed she's selling a lot of copies of this, and they picked it up from her. That's super rare. Publishers do not pick up self-published books as a rule. What you can do, though, is publish a self-published book, make it big, and then they'll do your second book. That's a strategy. So
okay. So then I have my homework. I have all my list of things to do, and I'm going to be getting back to you for sure, man.
It sounds good.
Find out if you could. I know you can help. This is incredible. Thank you so much. What an honor to speak with you. And people know where to find you now, thewritingking.com and ghostwriting.guru, as well as the Amazon too. We're going to leave all of those show notes in the show. That way people can, pick up some of your work, man. Thank you so much for your time and all that. Why don't I put you backstage for a minute while I close up here and I can continue talking to you, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. There you have it, guys. Some of the codes that you're looking for. Incredible. Wow. Just so many words down on paper, helping out so many people. Oftentimes we think like, hey, why do I need to write a book? There's so many books out there. It's just another book. Nobody's going to buy my book. You don't know that. There's so many people out there looking for your voice. What is it that you're looking for? So thank you for your time. Until the next one. Peace.